This is Sarah with Posh Pooch Designs, and today we're going to take plain ordinary flip-flops and make them into something fun and summery. We're going to be showing you two different ways, well, many different ways actually, to decorate your flip-flops. We're going to be showing you how to take a plain flip-flop and just add a nice colorful row around and add some sort of embellishment. And you can use any buttons that you want. You can use anything applique that you want. But today we're going to be using this beautiful bright yarn in variegated and show you how to add a pretty pink button. Another thing we're going to do is show you how to do the same technique, only adding beads to make it fun and festive. And I chose to use a solid on this colorful one so that you could see how bright and pretty it looks. You can also add embellishment to this one if you want to, or not. Just remember, anything you put your foot in, it's going to rub, so make sure you don't use something with a point that's going to hit you in the foot. And you put it in there at the right way so it doesn't hit you in the foot. So keep that in mind when picking your buttons and embellishment. And then the last one we're going to show you is this one. It is a solid with beads and a flower embellishment with beads in the center. So we're going to be doing 3 different styles of flip-flops, but they're all pretty much the same, just adding different elements, beads, buttons, flowers. So what you're going to need, of course, are some types of yarn. We're going to be using worsted weight Super Saver Red Heart that I just happen to have on hand. We're using bright pink and variegated and some other colors. You're going to need some buttons or appliques. And for the beaded one, we're going to be using these beads. And these are the smaller pony beads. They're not the big ones. And I like using them because I think they look a little better than the great big ones, and they don't make the flip-flops quite so heavy. And you can get a bag of these at any of your craft stores. And you don't have to use these. They have little wooden beads and other colors and shapes that you can use if you want to. It's up to you because you're going to make your flip-flops as fun as you want. Now, and then you're going to need what I call naked flip-flops. Just a plain ordinary flip-flop. I believe I got this one at Walmart. And this one here, you can use colorful ones, solid ones. It's up to you. I've also done these on the raft. I think it's called Rafa. When we went on a cruise, I made a pair like that, and they were so much fun to wear, and I got tons of compliments. So, grab you whatever kind of flip-flops that you want. It doesn't matter how thick the strap is. It doesn't matter what size. And I'm going to be using my eye hook today. Now, I'm using this one just because it's a good middle-of-the-road hook. But the truth is, you can use any size crochet hook that you want, as long as it's big enough to grab that yarn. So, grab your flip-flops, your eye hook, and don't forget you're going to need a needle and a pair of scissors as well. The first style of flip-flop decoration I'm going to show you is just this first one where we just stitched a row of single crochet around. I'm going to show you how to add that on and how to weave in your ends and then how to add some embellishment. Now this is a free pattern on my blog, and I'll put that blog link down in the notes underneath the video there. But also it will have a picture tutorial if you're someone who likes to see a still picture over a video. Alright, to get started, we're going to put our hook through, and we're going to begin with a nice long tail because we're going to need that tail when it's time to weave in our end. We're going to put that hook on our loop on our hook and pull that through the strap. And then we're going to grab both of those loops with our hook and pull it through that loop. All right, we're going to drop, there we go, that tail And we're just going to make a chain 1 real quick, and that's going to hold it in place. And I always pull that to try to snug it down a little bit. And now we're going to continue, or I should say begin, to stitch single crochets all the way down the side of the flip-flop going through the strap. So we're going to go through the strap, pull up a loop, and it can be a little bit clumsy at first. Loop over and go through both loops. And you may have to snug it down a little. Remember, we want it loose enough to be able to push down, but not too loose that it's loopy. So kind of a loose but not too loose, tight but not too tight. And you can see I'm just working up the side of here. And you can also see there's a little bit of space in there. And it's up to you how many stitches you want to put on. You can just push those down and continue single crocheting till you reach the point that goes between your toes. And it is up to you how many stitches that you want to put on that strap. If you don't mind your strap showing a little bit, don't put as many. If you want to cover up that strap, put a bunch. I do a few, then I gently just sort of weave them down, not weave them down, gently push them down. You can still see a little bit of color shining through, and that's okay. It's just what you want. And we're going to continue doing this till we reach the toe of the flip-flop. I continued stitching single crochets down to the toe, and I pushed them down as much as I wanted to, and I like how it looks. So now I'm going to work down the other side, and what we do is we're down to the point of our flip-flop, and we just keep going by going across and stitching down the other side. Exactly the same, going through the strap and stitching single crochet. And we'll do this all the way down. And again, you'll have to gently push down as you go, making sure it fills in the way that you want it to look. Now you can use, there we go, had a little bump in there. You can use any kind of yarn that you want to. I have had questions in the past if you can use cotton. And you can use cotton. The only thing I think about cotton is when I'm wearing a flip-flop and I'm on the beach, my flip-flop is going to get wet. Cotton absorbs the water and then it makes it a little bit heavy. So that's something to think about if you're going to wear these around the beach or a pool area or a place where it's going to be wet, like a splash pad. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. And choosing your yarns, of course. All right, I'm going to continue stitching down the side of my flip-flop until I reach down here, and then I'll show you how to tie off and weave in those ends. I stitched all the way down the side as far as I wanted to go, and what you might want to remember is when you're finishing off, in order to get enough stitches, you may have to push this up, stitch some of the stitches, and then gently push it back down in order to get enough stitches to fill that inside area there, because it's difficult to stitch in there. All right, so make sure when you cut it off, you leave yourself a good amount of yarn, and then we're just going to tie off, and now we're going to weave those ends in. I want to show you what I do to keep those ends from coming undone. All right, so I'm going to thread my yarn onto my needle. And what I do is I go under this right here, and I come up like this. And then I'll go back down the braid a little bit, stitching back and forth. Because if you're going to wear these a bunch, you do not want your straps to come undone. And something that you can do is you can put a little dab of fray check or a little dab of hot glue, and then you can put that right on the end, and that will keep that from coming unraveled if you want to. Now, to put on a button, yes, I know I still need to do this one, and I'll get right back to it, but I want to show you how to put on a button. Just thread your needle, put your yarn up through your button like this. And all I do is I just take that button and I wrap it around a couple of times, make sure it gets where I want it to go, and I tie a couple of knots. Now make sure your knots are not against your feet or it's going to hurt. And I'll even go around like this and around like this. And then that knot goes right up underneath that flower, because again, you want that flower to stay put. And that's just a really quick and easy way to add a flower. Now you can use glues to put your flowers on, but remember you're going to be wearing these a lot and hot glue melts in the sun, and so it's a good idea, even if you add a little hot glue or glue to make it stay, that you do sew that in place as well. All right, I'm going to take a second here, weave that in. And this is our pair. These are ready for me to wear to the pool. Little flower embellishments and colorful yarn. All right, so the next one we're going to do is going to be how to add the beads, and you're going to love it because it's just like this, only adding beads, and it's really, really easy. To make the flip-flop where we add the beads, it's similar to what we did on the other one. The only difference is we're going to be having beads on there to pull forward, and there'll be a chain 1 before and after the bead. So the first thing that we need to do is get our needle, and we're going to thread the yarn that we're going to be using for our flip-flop. We'll thread that onto our needle, and then you're going to need 12 beads. Now I put 6 on each side. If you're doing a flip-flop that is a longer size, because I wear a 4.5 to 5.5, so I buy children's flip-flops in the large size. So if your foot is longer and the straps are longer, you may want to add more beads. Just make sure you put the same amount on each side. So we're just going to put those beads onto our needle. We put all the beads onto our thread, and then we're going to go ahead and take off the needle. And we're going to be crocheting, and as we crochet, we'll be pushing a bead up. All right, so let's move that one out of the way there. All right, we're going to begin on this side and move around. So what we'll do, we'll begin the same way with a nice long tail that we did with the other style. We'll grab the loop, pull it through, grab both tails, pull that through. We'll drop the first tail, and then we'll chain 1. And that's just our beginning, just to get it on there. Now, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to place 6 single crochets on first. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to gently push those down. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to push a bead up, and I'm going to chain 1 again. And then I'm going to go and stitch 3 single crochets. Lost my loop. There we go. 1, and 3. See the bead on there? We're going to chain 1. We're going to push 1 bead forward. We're going to chain 1, And then I sort of push it with my finger out and then start crocheting my next 3 stitches. So I started and then I added 6 single crochets, chain 1, pull a bead forward and chain 1. And then the way the rest of it works is 3 single crochets, chain 1, pull a bead forward and chain 1. And we'll repeat that for 4 more times on this side because I'm putting 6 beads on each side of my flip-flop. Now, if you added too many beads, don't worry about it. You can push them off at the end, or if you didn't get enough, you'll have to start over, unfortunately. You're better off if you're not sure, if you're making a much bigger flip-flop, to go ahead and add more beads than you think that you're going to need. 1, 2, 3, chain 1, pull my bead forward, and chain 1. So now I have 1, 2, 3 beads, and then my 4th. And so we just push it down, and we do 3 more single crochets. And I'll continue doing this till I have 6 of my beads on, and then I'll show you how to move over to the other side, and it's really simple, just like we did the other one. So when you get to the center, you should have 3 single crochets. Here's my 6 beads, and then my last 3 single crochets. Don't do a bead in the center of your toe. We're just going to skip putting a bead in the center, and then we'll just go right to the other side and do 3 single crochets like we have been, and then adding our 6 beads the same way we did on the other side. That way you don't have a bead right in the center here where we're going to add a flower or a button or an embellishment or a bead that might scratch your toe. So we're going to chain 1 like we've been doing, pull that bead forward and chain 1. And then we'll repeat this all the way down, using up all our beads, because there'll be 6 beads on this side too. And then the last part we'll do will be 6 single crochets and tie off. So I'm going to add all my beads, 3 single crochets, chain 1, pull a bead forward, chain 1, and then repeat. Use up all 6 of my beads. That's what I was saying. If you added more beads because you're making a longer flip-flop that's larger size, just make sure you put the same amount of beads on both sides. And the reason that I'm not having you start with beads down here is I don't want it to rub on your foot right here where your foot hits. That can be painful. All right, I'm going to finish putting my beads on, and then I'll show you how to tie off again and add some embellishments. I finished adding my beads and my single crochets, and then I tied off. And we'll weave these ends in exactly the same way that we did for the purple one that we did. You just stitch back and forth, making sure you get that in there nice and tight. Now this particular pair, I really didn't want to put an embellishment on. But I do want to show you that you can use a heart, or you can use different colored hearts, or you can add flowers like we did on the other one that are buttons. Any kind of embellishment will work. And then we have the flower. And what I did on these two, they're the same flip-flop. I just did different colors here and then reversed the colors of the flower. And I did, of course, the beads, and then in the center I added 3 beads. And all I did to do that is I took a piece of yarn and 3 beads. See if we can get 3 different colors out here. Little piece of yarn. Then I fed on 3 colors. That white one on there, like this. And then I just went around and sewed it flat, just like this, on the flower. So I went down that way. There we go. And then just went down that way. On the back, I just tied a knot. And then I sewed it on to the shoe. Now this flower is our double petal flower, and when you put it on, it scrunches up nice and pretty. I don't think it would work good on this flip-flop just because of the colors I have here. It might look good on this one. For this flower pattern, it's the flower that we used on our shell stitch dog collar. And I'll put that up in the comments up there. This flower is the flower that we used with our shell stitch dog collar. It's a double petal flower. And I'll put that link for that video up here in the corner so that you'll have that. And you can make this flower, add the beads, and decorate your flip-flops. So that's our video today. I'm calling it Fun with Flip-Flops because we made beaded flip-flops, we made plain flip-flops, and then I showed you how to add flowers to make them even more fun. It's flip-flop season.